Welcome, everyone, to history's ultimate architectural cold case, unlocking the pyramids. For centuries, the Great Pyramid of Giza has been wrapped up in dusty myths and honestly some pretty wild speculation. But today, we're throwing out the old textbooks, we're going to look at cutting-edge geology, ancient logbooks, and some incredibly fierce modern debates to transform this ancient mystery into a fast-paced scientific investigation. So let's get right into it.
Okay, so here is the central mystery we really want to unravel today. How exactly do you move 2.3 million colossal stones without cranes, without steel cables, without a single modern machine? I mean, it's a logistical nightmare that has literally baffled engineers for millennia. The stakes the ancient Egyptians faced were just astronomically high. And to understand how they actually pulled it off, well, we first need to understand the sheer scale of the project. 2,300,000. That is the estimated number of individual blocks required just to build the Great Pyramid of Khufu. It is almost impossible to even wrap your mind around that volume of material, right? Like, if you laid these blocks end to end, they would stretch for thousands of miles. And we aren't just talking about your standard bricks here either. While the average blocks weighed a couple of tons, some of the massive granite slabs used in the inner chambers, especially the King's Chamber, they weighed a staggering maximum of 15 tons. And somehow, someway, they were transported from quarries hundreds of miles away. Now, I really want to let this sink in for a second. Based on recent computer modeling and historical timelines, to actually complete the pyramid in the estimated 20 to 27 years, a massive stone block had to be perfectly placed every 4 to 6 minutes. Yes, every 4 to 6 minutes, day in and day out, for over 2 decades. The precision and the speed required they're completely mind-bending.
And this brilliantly illustrates that the pyramids weren't just huge, they were mathematically flawless. Research actually suggests that ancient builders may have used the autumnal equinox to align the Great Pyramid almost perfectly with the 4 cardinal directions, north, south, east, and west. Achieving this without modern compasses or GPS satellites, it shows a grasp of astronomy that is, frankly, just astonishing.
Section 1. The Master Builders, not slaves. So we know the math and we know the scale, but who actually did the heavy lifting? For the longest time, popular culture has painted this really grim picture of forced labor, right? People just dragging heavy blocks over harsh sand. But the reality is vastly different. Thanks to the discovery of the workers' tombs by renowned archaeologist Dr. Zahi Hawass, we now know these builders absolutely were not slaves. They were honored, highly skilled professionals, they lived in organized communities, they got tax exemptions for their families, and get this, they even had advanced healthcare, including literal surgeries for broken bones. And you have to check out their premium diet. These workers were fed like royalty. Excavations at their settlement revealed thousands of animal bones. They were eating prime cuts of meat, goats, and even Nile perch, which was a fish normally completely reserved for the wealthy classes. The Egyptian state was clearly investing heavily in keeping its workforce strong, healthy, and highly motivated. And we literally have their receipts. Discovered near the Red Sea, the Wadi al-Jarf Papyrus is the 4,500-year-old logbook of a middle-ranking official named Inspector Mir. It maps out his crew's incredibly grueling 10-day commute. Over a few months, Mir and his 40-man crew loaded brilliant white limestone from the Tura quarries onto boats, making 2 or 3 round trips every 10 days and delivering about 30 massive blocks a week right to the Giza harbor. Section 2. Moving Mountains, the Lost River. Now, boats in the middle of a dry desert? Let's look at a massive environmental clue. So the crucial point here is this incredible recent breakthrough from Dr. Aman Ghonem and her team. Using satellite radar and core drilling, geologists discovered a massive, now extinct branch of the Nile River hidden right beneath the sand. They dubbed it the Aramit or Pyramid Branch, and it was 64 kilometers long and half a kilometer wide. Suddenly, it makes perfect sense why 31 different pyramids form a chain right along this exact geographical line. They literally just floated the stones right up to the construction sites. Section 3. Ramps, water, or concrete. Because getting the stones to the base of the pyramid was one thing, but lifting them hundreds of feet into the air is quite another. Here we have the blueprints of the 3 most fascinating modern engineering theories side by side. On the top, the idea that a ramp was built inside the Great Pyramid itself. In the middle, a brand new theory involving advanced hydraulic lifts. And at the bottom, a highly controversial idea that the stones weren't carved at all, but poured like concrete.
So let's break these down. First up, the internal spiral ramp. Spanish computer scientist Vicente Luis Russell Roig proposes that rather than building a gigantic, totally unmanageable external ramp, the Egyptians built a ramp tracing the inner edges of the pyramid. As they built up, the ramp was covered over, hiding it forever. And what supports this? Well, the Scan Pyramids project recently used advanced particle physics to discover massive, unexplained voids inside Khufu's pyramid. These voids might just be the remnants of those hidden internal ramps.
Now let's move to a seriously mind-bending study recently published in PLOS One regarding the older step pyramid of Djoser. This theory argues the Egyptians used a hydraulic lift. Yeah, they proposed that a nearby enclosure acted as a sediment trap, filtering water that flowed into a deep trench. This pressurized water would then push a massive float up the pyramid's internal shaft, carrying heavy stones right along with it. That is a highly sophisticated use of fluid dynamics 4,500 years ago.
And then we have the geopolymer concrete theory, championed by French chemist Joseph Davidovits. He proposes they bypassed the heavy lifting entirely. Actually, scratch that. He suggests the builders created a synthetic limestone mixture using crushed rock, sodium carbonate, mud, and water, and literally poured it into wooden molds directly on the pyramid.
So, did they carve the stones or pour them? Davidovits points to chemical analyses showing air bubbles and synthetic fibers inside some pyramid stones. That is an anomaly you simply wouldn't find in natural bedrock. It's a fascinating, although heavily debated, perspective on ancient chemistry.
Section 4. The Clash of the Sciences. Because with all these wild new studies hitting the headlines, you can imagine the academic drama.
The old guard of archaeology is pushing back, and they are pushing back hard. Traditional experts, like Dr. Zahi Hawass, passionately reject theories that sideline the archaeological evidence. Regarding the geological river studies and alternative construction methods, he stated firmly that these studies stole all the science and have no relation to science, pointing back to the physical papyrusi and excavated ports as the only real truth we need. So we are essentially watching a live clash of disciplines here. On one side, geologists and engineers see perfect environmental and physical explanations for how the pyramids were built. But on the other side, traditional archaeologists rely on the hard texts, the excavated harbors, and the actual diaries of the people who were there, like Inspector Murr. We aren't here to take sides, but this tension proves for sure that Egyptology is a fiery, highly active science. Section 5. A marvel of human ingenuity. Let's bring this all together.
Whether they dragged blocks up hidden internal ramps, floated them up using hydraulic water pressure, or mixed them in wooden molds like concrete, the true magic was the people. It was the unparalleled human organization, the meticulous logistical planning that fed tens of thousands of workers premium meals, and the structural brilliance that allows these monuments to stand tall millennia later. I really want to leave you with this provocative thought. If a civilization could organize a massive workforce, map the stars, engineer waterways, and move literal mountains 4,500 years ago, what other astonishing ancient secrets are still lying out there, just waiting to be unearthed beneath the sand? Thank you so much for exploring this with me today. Keep questioning, keep learning, and I'll catch you on the next Explainer.